Well, my first combat was, I had grown up as an Episcopalian, and I did not know if I could even kill anybody. And 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. We were on Makin Island, and we went in some very thick foliage that we called jungle. They had some very, the Japanese that were there were Marines. They had been in a number of battles, the Rape and Nanking and that sort of thing. They had snipers up in trees, and they had people with draped nets and covered with camouflage and whatnot. We went into this kind of jungle thing. Being our first combat, we probably weren't very good at it, and we had to pull back. I was the radio operator for the company commander there, and well, at that time not the company commander, but later on I was the company commander's radio operator on Okinawa, and I had a good friend that I had met, and he had lived about 30 miles west of where I lived in Spokane, Washington. We became good friends. When we pulled back, he had gotten wounded but couldn't get back. When we went back in again, the Japanese had bayoneted him from his groin all the way up to his neck, opened him wide open. After that, I had no compunction about killing Japanese soldiers, not civilians. And at one time, I killed 5 in about 30 seconds one time in a very small area. And we had a regiment that went in there, plus we have the Navy. One of the most famous pictures that you ever see in the whole war, you see all these people wading ashore somewhere, that was on that particular island. And we had 3 battalions. The 1st battalion went in the elbow of this was an atoll. An atoll is a narrow island out in the Pacific, and we went in on the shoulder side. In the very center of what would be a crutch was the area that they had heavily defended. We had another battalion went out on the following end of the crutch, and then we had one battalion go directly in, and they waded ashore because they could not get the landing craft all the way in, because there were either Japanese had put things out there to stop them, or they had run into coral. So you've seen this picture and time after time after time. Even today, you'll see a bunch of people wading ashore. It's that picture. But sheer American presence did it. There was no way the Japanese were ever going to win. Now, President Roosevelt's son came up to visit us. I was present when the regimental commander got shot right between the eyes. At that time I was a radio operator for the executive officer of the company, and we'd gotten to a little clearing, really. The Japanese kind of a road went up there, and there was a clearing in this kind of jungle area. We had pulled back in there, and this was but before we recovered my friend's body. The regimental commander got shot between the eyes. When he came up there to see what was going on, the chaplain was given last rites to somebody. We said, "Colonel Conroy, get down, get down, get down." And he's, I guess, being a commander and being brave or whatever. But right there, and that was all. We had a guy named Wahoo McDaniel. Wahoo McDaniel got shot in the helmet, and we thought the bullet went between the helmet and the helmet liner, went up over the head and out the back. But as far as we know, he'd been shot, and it knocked him out, and he was down. We thought that we called him Wahoo. I don't know what his real name was, but we thought he was dead. And President Roosevelt's son came up with the head of the Marine Raiders, who had been there to Macon before to see what was going on. And I can't think of the Raiders commander, but the 2 of them, they saw that it was kind of exciting there, and so they left. And after a while, Wahoo got up and started staggering around and came walking over, and he was still alive. But that was my real experience in that particular campaign, was all kind of isolated in that one little area, really. Probably 100 yards one way, and the island at that point probably was 200 yards wide, maybe. But we were on the very edge on the, I would guess it was probably the west side.